Hello everyone, and welcome to another video in my video series all about how I'm using virtual reality to fight my fear of flying. On this video I'd like to continue sort of the experiment that I started off with my last video about that I did about taking off. And what I mean by that is I'm going to do this video freeform as I'm sitting here in VR and let you guys sit along with this the experience that I go through. So please bear with me as it may be a little bit more rough. I may stumble over my words a little bit more. But I wanted to give you that sense of what it's like as I'm sort of just sitting here and practicing the things that I might do on a real flight to overcome my anxiety and fear of flying. So right now we are in the climb and cruise portion. That's what today's video is going to be. And it's one of the portions of flight that really makes up the majority of the time that you spend aboard a plane, especially if you're on a longer flight. This is where we're sort of climbing out of the airspace that we were in originally in the departure, and we're climbing up to our cruising altitude, whatever that might be. And then we just go. Once we get to that cruising altitude, barring any kind of adjustments that need to be made, that sometimes that's a normal part of flying as well, adjusting altitude a little bit. But really, we're going to stay pretty much at the same altitude, barring anything like that. So, like I said, I think this is probably one of the phases that's, for me is either, oftentimes it's the least stressful once we're up in the air and cruising, but it can actually at times be more stressful than the takeoff and landing if I run into a little bit of turbulence. And I think for me, in my head, it's because I'm not expecting it, and that sort of unexpected bump or that sort of feeling of being up in the air and getting bumped around is very uncomfortable. So what I'll do, all the same techniques that I use during takeoff. I'll use my mantras. I'll remind myself that flying is inherently safe, that air is a cushion, the plane wants to stay up, that turbulence, even if it's moving us around and it's uncomfortable, it's not unsafe. It is perfectly okay and normal for planes to fly through turbulence. I'll be practicing my deep breathing, breathing in through my nose, holding it, and then breathing out through my mouth. I'll be distracting myself with games on my cell phone, maybe with music, maybe with YouTube videos. At this point, I probably will have had my noise-canceling earphones on, which are helpful. Obviously, it's a luxury to be able to have those, and it's not something that I really count on as my only means of calming myself down. One, because it's a luxury, and two, because I don't want to really rely totally on things that require a battery. What I want to rely on is myself and my own techniques, and have a multitude of tools, some of which may need batteries or external power or whatever, but really I have a lot of tools that I can use. So on the flight at this point, probably the flight attendants would be going up and down the aisle, passing out snacks and drinks. I'd probably take something to eat or to drink if I feel up to it. And then, of course, everyone's familiar with the screens on the front of us, the back of the seat in front of us, however you want to call that. So the pilot would probably have turned off the fasten seatbelt sign now. If the flight is not bumpy, people would be getting up, moving around, maybe using the restroom. And I would be sitting here probably a lot of times paging through the different options of movies and TV shows to watch. I'd probably spend a decent amount of time trying to decide what I want to watch, both because I'm sort of picky like that in my normal life. I can spend a lot of time in front of Netflix just paging through the different videos, but also because it takes up time and it takes up mental energy that I don't have to spend sort of worrying or feeling anxious. So probably watch something, if I find something that I enjoy. I may, depending on my level of anxiety, I may have to combine that with a few other things, deep breathing. I'll be watching something, but I'll also be breathing deeply, or I will be continuing to play my game on my phone, or writing something down, or doing something to sort of keep my mind occupied. I'll also be looking out the window. For me, it's helpful to look out the window because even if there's turbulence or bumps or changes in sort of the feeling of the pitch, or the feeling light in your seat, or right now like we're seeing right now, sort of turning, Looking out the window reassures me that sort of, hey, we're not falling out of the sky. This is sort of just a normal part of the flight. Of course, I don't need to do that because I know that tens of thousands of planes fly every single day of the year. Excuse that glitch. That was just my computer there. Tens of thousands of planes fly every single day of the year without any kind of problems. So if I can't look outside because the weather doesn't permit it, because it's nighttime, or maybe I'm not in a window seat, it's not the end of the world, because I know deep down that flying is inherently safe. So those are pretty much the ways I deals with stress and anxiety on the climb and cruise portion of the flight. The other thing that I mentioned before briefly and that I watch out for is sort of sudden jolts of turbulence. That can be, for me, a little bit more nerve racking, because on takeoff, on landing, I'm sort of prepared for different bumps and jolts and noises and things like that, and my mind is sort of just saying, like, that's all part of the thing. And sometimes when you get up and cruise and everything is smooth and you're not really expecting something like that, it can actually be a little bit more nerve-wracking. So if something like that does happen, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just sort of quickly, sort of like as a triage measure, I'll start doing some deep breathing, or I'll start saying a mantra in my head, and I'll do that until I start to feel calm again. Usually, it takes maybe like 2 rounds of breathing or a few mantras, and I start to feel a little bit more relaxed, especially if it's just one jolt. So those are pretty much my big ways of dealing with things. Continuation of what I do in the other phases of flight, but using my breathing techniques, distracting myself, watching the videos here. I'll also try to get up and move around the plane a little bit, so that I just sort of stretch my legs, and that feeling of claustrophobia is lessened when I actually move around a little bit as well. So thank you very much for watching this latest in my my second experiment, and doing videos a little bit differently, and sort of giving you an opportunity to ride along with me in a practice flight. If you like this video, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Those are always appreciated. If you have any comments, critiques, or anything like that, please, I'd love to hear them, if they're constructive, of course. And thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll be posting the landing video, same in this type of series, shortly. So thanks a lot.